G'day folks, I wanted to have a chat about this steering rack. The bloke who develops them, his name is Graham Black. He calls himself Black's Racks. Now this kit is the only one that I know of that a bolt-in kit for the HQ through to the WBs. I don't know of any others. There may be some now that have come on the market, but this is the only one I know of. They're not cheap. I paid, I think it was about $2,800, but the difference it's made is chalk and cheese really. I wouldn't be running around doing what I'm doing with the steering box. It was shocking, that steering box. That much play in it, turn lock to lock. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's about a turn less, or 3/4 of a turn less, lock to lock. And that's a big difference. It's really direct. In the kit you get the sway bar with it, because the original one won't bolt up. You have to send over your steering arms off the hubs for him to ream the ends out, because they run, these tie rod ends are a Commodore tie rod end, so he reams them out to suit. They've got to be the short arms, which is the power steering arm, because Holden made two models, the manual steering, which is a slightly longer arm, and the shorter version for the power steering. So, but they're incredible, these racks. Really well made. I think the racks itself are made in America, and he puts them all together with his bracketry and everything else. He does a beautiful job. Really good instructions on how to put it together. It took me around, I think, best part of a day, you know, to fiddle around, pull the old one out, and that was taking it pretty easy. So, and it's been in the car probably around 2 years now. Time gets away. I don't really know exactly, but it's holding up really well. That's the power steering cooler which I've put on that, so, and that's made a huge difference, that too. I'll show you the linkages from the I don't know if you can see it there, the universals through from the steering column down to the rack itself. That's all stainless. There's a bracket there with a, I don't know if you can quite see that, but yeah, it all comes with a kit, and it's a beautiful setup. So it's really made a big difference to the car. That was money well spent. So that's a little chat about the rack. Now I'll show you the rockers. I've re-torqued, I'm just in the throes of doing the re-torquing the head. They're the Platinum race rockers from Yellowterra. They're a 1.65 ratio, and really nice bit of gear these. Handle the big revs, big lifts, big spring pressures with these. So that's them there. Now, a little note, they said in the manual, in the instructions when I got the heads, to re-torque them. Anyway, I re-torqued them, and I reckon I went about 1/8 to nearly 1/4 of a turn. Not quite 1/4 of a turn, but it was probably around £10 So that was quite surprising. I'm not an expert on this, but I'm not sure if the head itself swells up or compresses the gasket that little bit or what it is, but it definitely needed retorquing. So but anyway, I'm in the throes of doing that now, so yeah, that's where she stands, guys. I'll put a vid up very soon though on the when I get her all buttoned up now. I'll get the exhaust on her and get her all completed. I've got another little niggly issue I've had with it. I'll share with you. I wasn't going to say nothing, but I thought I'll bugger it. I'll share with you. I've had a bit of oil, tiny little bit of oil coming out of the charge pipe. Look, it's only a tiny little bit, but I'm going to, I reckon what's happening is when you turn off the engine, this scavenge pump I think is sitting a bit too high, and I've got into the habit of leaving the scavenge pump on for probably around 15-20 seconds, like the ignition on once the engine's off, to try and get rid of that oil out of the cartridge of the turbo, because you can't manually drain it with a conventional setup. I feel that at the minute, the way that pump's sitting, it doesn't quite pull all the oil out of the turbo, and what's happening is it's leaking through into the charge pipe or into the turbine, into the compressor housing, and a little bit into the turbine housing too. So I always get this little puff of smoke when I go to start it, and I've just had this tiny little bit of oil I've noticed laying in the bottom of the pipe. There's not much in it, but I reckon that's part of the cause. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this scavenge pump and lower it down to the height of the turbo itself. So, and I want to put a delay switch or like a turbo timer on the scavenge pump, so when you flick the ignition off, the pump runs for 30 seconds to a minute after the engine is shut down, so it completely drains the oil out of the turbo, and that should eliminate any oil sort of bleeding through into the compressor and turbine housing. So I'm going to try that and put this timer on it as well. So yeah, I want to do that before I all I'm going to do with that is put some threaded rod and just lower it down. It only wants to come down no more than about 150 to 200 millimeters. So I'm going to try it and see if that sort of eliminates it. But anyway, that's the way she stands. I won't be too long and I'll have another little video of the all going, and we'll go from there. One other note I did notice, I didn't mention, she's not as cammy. I think this stroker engine's taken that lope out of it. So it'll be interesting when I do get it all buttoned up with the exhaust and everything, and see how much difference it does make. So yeah. Alright guys, until next time, I'll catch you later.